So it's so important to check a full iron panel, which includes total iron, ferritin, and TIBC. So when it comes to iron, the research shows that people who have ferritin levels above 75 do not have hair loss. So that's our goal. That's the optimal level that we're shooting for.
Hello, and welcome to Hair Loss, Restore Your Roots and Confidence. Today, you're in for a great surprise. I know you're getting tired of me saying that because I tell you that before every episode because I just have such amazing guests. And the guest today actually is going to be very familiar with you frequent listeners. Nataliia Sanzo and I are back together and back in the studio. And we're going to be able to help you today taking care of fueling your hair growth, determining the best diet for your Hashimoto's. Did you know that what you eat can make a significant impact on your hair health? In fact, studies have shown that certain thyroid conditions and nutrient deficiencies can lead to hair loss in up to 30% of the cases. But don't fear. Today, we have a very special guest who's going to reveal secrets to unlocking the power of thyroid support and nutrition for luscious, healthy locks. Stay tuned until the end of the episode because we have special exclusive offers just for those of you listening today. I am so excited, Nataliia, that we're back together in the studio and we still have Sutton with us as well, which is great. You know, our first two seasons were pretty important to both of us because it's the first time that we had launched into the world of podcast and video. And so it was so great to be able to have you as my co-host and have you as my supporter through all of that. And more importantly, now we're back together and we get to share even more news and more information with the listeners. So thank you again for being here. And as a little brief introduction for those who weren't listening on season 1 and 2, which don't forget, you need to go back and listen. But I want to tell you a little bit about Nataliia. So Nataliia Sanzo is a registered dietitian. She is also an amazing author, a nutritional coach, and more importantly, for your knowledge, she has and suffers with Hashimoto's disease and also hair loss as a result. So I think you're in for a great show today, and I'm going to turn it over to Nataliia and let her share a little bit more about her story, and then we're going to dive into some of our listeners' questions.
Kimberly, thank you so much for having me on your podcast, and I want to congratulate you on doing so well. I know you have such great traction and it's showing up on every platform across all podcasts. So congratulations. I am happy that we did 2 seasons together because we built such a great foundation for our listeners. We have so many great episodes that touched on so many topics. So I hope our listeners go back to season 1 and 2 and listen on topics that are more related to hair loss and Hashimoto's and, and hormone therapy. I mean, we covered so much. And of course, just for our listeners' sake, we kind of parted, right, last year, not because the topic of Hashimoto's and hair loss was kind of running thin, but because we have so much to say, and you running your podcast every week, and I'm doing the same on my end. There's just so much to talk about. We wanted to make sure that we serve our audience the best.
Oh, I couldn't say it better myself. And again, I love the opportunity to get back together for us to talk about nutrition, Hashimoto's, hair loss, and how we can truly help the listener. And before we go much further, though, I do want to remind the listener that you have 2 amazing offers that you're going to share with them, specifically just for those of you who are listening today. We also now, HPI, that is, has an opportunity for you to text us with a opportunity to receive a 15-minute complimentary consultation and hair analysis. So we have lots to share at the end, so stay with us. So As we move into the meat of this episode, I wanted to share with the listeners that, you and I both made a practice of going back to our audience and asking for questions. And we encourage you, if you're listening today and this is your first show, please go back and also text your questions to us, email your questions to us, and we'll be able to get those on another episode. But today we are diving into 4 specific questions that our listeners have asked. And so I'm going to start with the first one. And the first one is from a listener. She says, I've been struggling with thinning hair for years, even though my thyroid levels are stable. Can you share some specific foods or nutrients that I should incorporate into my diet to support a healthy thyroid and hair growth?
This is such a great question, and I want to address the first part of the question first. I've been struggling with thinning hair for years, even though my thyroid levels are stable. Now, we have to remember that Hashimoto's is not just a thyroid disease. It's an immune system disease affecting many organs and systems in the body. So to address hair loss, we don't just look at thyroid hormone levels. There are other levels that can have a significant contribution to the symptoms we are experiencing. So we usually do a comprehensive testing, which involves assessing cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, iron, ferritin, and TIBC, B vitamins, vitamin D, selenium, zinc, fasting insulin, and blood sugar, and in some cases, hemoglobin A1C. And lastly, a comprehensive stool test. And we actually covered a GI map stool test in season 1, episode 17. So make sure you guys go back and listen to it. And as an example, your hair loss can continue with normal or even optimal thyroid labs because your ferritin, your vitamin D, or selenium are low. Now, the second part of this question, can you recommend specific nutrients that can support thyroid and hair growth? When focusing on thyroid health and hair growth, especially in the context of Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, you want to prioritize nutrients that support thyroid function and provide the building blocks for healthy hair. Here are the key foods and nutrients that can help. Number 1, selenium. Selenium is crucial for the conversion of thyroid hormones from T4 to T3. It also has antioxidant properties that help reduce thyroid antibodies and antibody levels in people with Hashimoto's. Foods that are rich in selenium includes Brazil nuts, one of the richest sources of selenium. Just 1 or 2 a day can meet your daily requirements. Next is seafood such as sardines, my favorite, salmon, and shrimp.
I always have a hard time with that one. Every time you've said that, I just kind of get this really funny taste in my mouth.
I actually had sardines with my eggs this morning.
I'm glad I wasn't at your house for breakfast.
Yeah, it does smell a little strong.
Yes.
But the second nutrient we need to concentrate on is zinc. Zinc plays a vital role in thyroid hormone metabolism, immune system function, and hair growth support. Zinc deficiency can lead to hair loss, which is often reversible with zinc supplementation. And good sources of zinc are meat, especially red meat like beef and lamb, shellfish, and particular oysters, legumes, chickpeas, lentils, beans, and pumpkin seeds. Number 3 is iron. Iron is essential for many functions in the body, including hair growth and thyroid function. Low iron levels can impair thyroid hormone synthesis and can cause hair loss. Including these iron-rich foods in your diet, like meats like chicken, turkey, lentils, beans, spinach, and other leafy greens, and of course fortified cereals. That will ensure that your iron levels will maintain optimal.
Nataliia, I have to ask you a question though. I think this will be really, really helpful and beneficial for the listener. We have many labs that we run as well, right? For our hair loss and our trichology clients, and you and I have gone back and forth with building really great comprehensive of labs for both of our client bases. But I think the number one thing that we get such a big question about is, well, isn't iron and ferritin the same? Right? Mm-hmm. And many times we will see individuals with very stable iron levels. However, their ferritin levels are very, very low, and we're still not able to stop the hair shed. And so I think it's really important. If you want to share a little bit about that, I think the listener would love to hear that.
Kimberly, this is such a great point because total iron and ferritin, even though it's still in the iron panel, those two things are not the same. Total iron just reflects how much iron is in your system. The ferritin is the storage form of iron. So when most doctors only check total iron, and if your levels are normal, they say you're good to go. But people with normal total iron can still have low levels of ferritin. So it's so important to check a full iron panel, which includes total iron, ferritin, and TIBC. So when it comes to iron, the research shows that people who have ferritin levels above 75 do not have hair loss. So that's our goal. That's the optimal level that we're shooting for. Now we'll continue talking about the fourth nutrient that is especially important for thyroid health and helps stop hair loss. It's our omega-3 fatty acids. Those fatty acids, they reduce inflammation, which can help manage autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's. They also support scalp health and hair growth. Sources of omega-3 include fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, and my sardines again, flax seeds, and chia seeds. Oh, and let's not forget about walnuts. And finally, vitamin D. Vitamin D is important for immune modulation, which is critical in autoimmune disease like Hashimoto's. It is also beneficial for hair follicles cycling. Vitamin D can be challenging to get enough from food, so sun exposure and supplements might be necessary. Food sources include fatty fish, like our salmon and mackerel again, egg yolks, and fortified foods like milk and orange juice.
Nataliia, such amazing information. So those 4 points and those recommendations, I think are probably also in one of your books or in one of your meal plans, right? That our listeners can probably gain some more information about, because your all-purpose nutrition website is just packed full of information. So I want to make sure that anyone that's listening today, that they know your website, which is?
It's allpurposenutrition.com, just like my Instagram, just like anything, the name of my practice. So all of the information that we have been talking about, I think we recorded 600 hours of podcast total. Mm-hmm. All that information is carefully packaged in my online courses as well. Yes, I do meal plans and we'll talk about it, but I think the online course, guided step-by-step 30-day thyroid healing program is a great place to start.
Oh, terrific. Terrific. Okay, well, moving on to our next question. So this is from a listener who's been listening to us, she says, for over a year. And the question is, as a busy professional and mother, I often find myself relying on quick processed meals. How can I make simple changes to my diet to ensure I'm getting the nutrients my hair needs, even when I'm short on time?
Oh my goodness. I mean, short on time is the biggest, I don't want to say complaint, but the biggest obstacle I hear every day. And, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. What differentiates us or people from people who feel like they don't have enough time in a day from people who are very productive is planning. Planning is number one things we should be doing to not only be productive, but to make sure that we're taking care of our health. And when it comes to planning and, making sure that we're eating the right things for our body, we need to meal prep, right? Because we have notepads to make sure that we have a to-do list. We have to-do list for the kids, for the husbands, for the dogs and cats. But we don't have a to-do list for our eating habits. And meal plan is the to-do list. So as a registered dietitian, I offer meal plans for all of my clients because it's a great structural to-do list, basically, that it's easy to follow. It takes the guesswork out of planning. It takes the stress away. I use a very interactive meal planning platform that is available for my clients, where they can swap the recipes, swap the ingredients, play with the days. But my meal plans are 100% personalized. They are based on my clients' needs, wants, food sensitivities, nutrition prescription, comorbidities, and anything that is personalized to them. So for someone who's short on time, I think meal planning would be the answer. Another option is to do a meal plan delivery services. There are so many of them out there right now. I personally use Green Chef. It's the only organic meal plan delivery services available. The Green Chef actually owns the company HelloFresh. So these two companies, they deliver whole foods to your house, to your doorsteps, and then you have to cook everything yourself. It takes 25 to 30 minutes. Now, if you're really short on time, meal delivery services like The Factor is very helpful. The food is all prepared for you. You just pop it in microwave or oven, and it will be ready in 5 minutes, and it's delicious. I've tried them all. I'm my own, guinea pig. I never recommend anything that I have not tried myself.
Well, those are such great ideas. And I know that being able to, plan ahead and get your meals on point is just critical when you're trying to stay on a certain diet. I think the other thing is, you had mentioned, when you have a situation where you're planning for a spouse, for children, or for anyone else, right? You have to make sure that you're getting those meal plans so that everyone's going to eat your food, whether it's being delivered or whether you're preparing it. So love that idea. It's great. Okay, well, question number 3. I've heard that crash diets and extreme calorie restrictions can lead to hair loss and cause problems with my thyroid. Why does this happen?
Well, when you go on a crash diet, you're often drastically reducing your calorie intake and possibly missing out on essential nutrients. This sudden change can shock your body, and because hair growth is not a vital function, your body may redirect nutrients away from your hair to support more critical functions like maintaining heart health and brain function. And another thing, when you go on a crash diet and drastically cutting calories, that can stress your body, affecting your thyroid. The gland, the thyroid is the gland that is responsible for regulating your metabolism. This severe calorie restriction can lead to a decrease in thyroid hormone production, which slows down your metabolism as your body tries to conserve energy. When the thyroid gland isn't functioning properly, it can lead to hair loss because the thyroid hormones play a critical role in regulating the hair growth cycle. And Kimberly, you can talk about specifically about the hair growth cycle, how crash diet and the lack of nutrients, send hair into the resting phases.
Well, yes. And we talk about resting phase, dormant phase, and growing phase. But then sadly, we also have that shedding phase. And so crash diets many times will cause a starvation in the cells in the body. And so therefore, if our hair, skin, and our nails are made of cells, then certainly, to your point precisely, is those cells that are around the hair follicles are being starved and are now being redirected because the body's in a crisis mode. So to us in our world of trichology, the worst thing that someone can do is have a crash diet. We have a specific episode that we actually speak directly to several clients, one in particular who went through 100-pound weight loss with Ozempic. And she's been very open, very upfront about, yes, she's so excited to be 100 pounds lighter and she loves her life now. However, the symptoms of the hair loss throughout this course of this time frame of this weight loss certainly were very debilitating. She luckily is in an environment to where she could stay kind of out of the public for a lot of this weight loss journey. And her journey was very quick. It only took 6 months. And so when you take 100 pounds off of an individual frame in 6 months, that's crazy. And the body's, of course, going to go through trauma. And so when we have that trauma, we then are pushed into this shedding, this telogen effluvium phase. And that's where that we have really cause and concern. Because when that does happen, it happens very quickly, right? In a matter of 6 weeks, typically. We can have chronic shedding that will go on longer. However, within that 6 weeks, you're losing anywhere from 30 to 60% of your hair loss. And it doesn't just take 6 months to get it back. So listeners, please be cautious. Please consider the right diet, the right nutritional course, even if you do have a large amount of weight that you're trying to lose.
Absolutely. And listeners, make sure you go back to season 1 and 2, because we, like Kimberly said, we covered weight loss and hair loss in details. And we have not only we have a lot of guests on the podcast, but I think we recorded a full episode says how to lose weight without losing your hair.
Yes.
Yeah, so make sure you guys go back, scroll through all episodes to look for the answers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very good point. Okay, so Nataliia, this has been great, but I have one last question. Do you think you can stay with me just a little longer? Okay, so our last question, Nataliia, is really, it's easy for you and I, but it's complicated for the listener. So I want us to dive into this to give our listener the best information we can. So the question is, I take a multivitamin. What other supplement should I take to help my thyroid and thin hair? So I'm gonna jump in here first. First of all, the question is somewhat general. So it says I take a multivitamin, right? So what does that mean? Does that mean that you're taking a gummy or two a day? Does that mean that you're taking a hard caplet that was on sale at any of your favorite retailers? All of those are certainly in the essence of being good and you thinking that that's what you should do, because I'm sure that's what you've read, right? And however, we don't know what you are lacking and where your deficiencies are until we truly test. You spoke about this, Nataliia, in an earlier question, but having those lab panels run, testing, which we focus on the most in the world of trichology, is those trace metals and minerals, making sure that it isn't just a natural vitamin or a daily multivitamin that you really need. Because you've also stressed, Nataliia, about the importance of selenium. We talk about zinc, we talk about vitamin D in our world, and more importantly, amino acids. So the amino acids are the building blocks of our bodies. And if we are not focused on those, and I will promise you, I have only seen about 2 multivitamins on the market. And just as you had said, I test first before I share. And none of them have the amount of amino acids that your body truly needs if you are stressed and if you're going through times of change. So I think more importantly, with that multivitamin, I also want everyone to be focused on their zinc levels as well as their copper and selenium. And touching back on selenium just a little is that we have to be cautious. With selenium, we're running into a situation to where, yes, if we're deficient in selenium, it can cause hair loss. But I also want everyone to understand the importance of a selenium test is critical, because if your selenium levels are too high, it will cause a tremendous amount of aggressive hair loss. And so I want us to be very careful and cautious about that. So on to you. What's your information and advice for that question?
Well, you covered this question so well, but I do have 2 more things that I want to add. a multivitamin does not have enough B vitamins because multivitamin only has like 1 or 2 B vitamins. What we need to take is a B complex for hair growth. It can be more beneficial than taking biotin alone because the B vitamins work together to support metabolism, maintain healthy skin and muscle tone, and enhance immune and nervous system function, among other benefits, right? And while biotin, vitamin B7, is particularly known for its role in hair and hair growth, the other B vitamins also play a crucial role that can indirectly aid in enhancing hair health and growth. Next thing I want to add is I want to talk about probiotics or adding probiotics to your regimen. Probiotics can be beneficial for hair health and preventing hair loss because they help maintain a balanced gut microbiome, which is crucial for overall health, including nutrient absorption, right? A healthy gut ensures optimal absorption of nutrients that are essential for hair growth, such as vitamins, minerals, and protein. Additionally, probiotics can help reduce inflammation in the body, including the scalp. Chronic inflammation can interfere with the normal hair growth cycle, leading to hair thinning and hair loss. So by supporting a healthy immune response and reducing inflammation, probiotics can create a healthier environment for hair growth. You can reach out to me via email or Instagram at All Purpose Nutrition for specific recommendations for probiotics.
That was a great way to kind of finish this last question, because probiotics are not an encompassing solution by any means. But one of the things that we forget is all the supplements that we're talking about and all the foods that we're talking about. They're only good for you if they are not trapped in a leaky gut, right? And so it's so important that we move in that direction.
Absolutely. Yes, it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Well, Nataliia, this has been so much fun. And I just want to stress to the listeners that you've gathered a lot of information. There's a lot going on here, a lot to unpack. Feel free to reach out to Nataliia at allpurposenutrition.com. Also, as I had mentioned earlier in the podcast, you can reach HPI Hair Partners via text or also on our consultation form online. Our text is 615-975-6726. And I'm not going to hold this up any longer. Nataliia, what's the big secret? What's the giveaway? What's the special offers that you're giving our guests?
I have 2 giveaways for listeners tonight or today. First, I have a completely free guide, 10 ways to improve your gut health and in turn improve your hair loss, that they can download in the footnotes of this podcast. That was first. And second, listeners can get 20% off of my online-based program, 30 Days Thyroid Healing Program, if they use promo code podcast.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. Because we have clients that we have referred to you and have taken advantage of both of those programs. And I know that they will be just so greatly accepted by the listeners. So thank you so much for doing that. I really, really appreciate it. And, as we talk about getting back together and the importance of hair loss and thyroid disorders and being able to combine that connection so that we can truly give opportunities for the listeners, we want everyone to know that please go back and search through our catalog of podcasts and shows. We have over 60 now, I think, between the two of us, if not more. And if you can't find the answers that you're looking for, reach out to us again at All Purpose Nutrition or HPI Hair Loss, and would be glad to help you at any point in time. So as we always say on our podcast, is thank you so much, my dear sweet guest, and make it a great hair day.